Welcome again to another episode of TÜV SÜD Insights at the World Hydrogen Congress in Rotterdam. I'm now with Chigozie from Integrated Africa Power. Happy to have you here and looking forward to our talk.
Thank you.
So when to start things off, not a lot of people know AIP. So can you perhaps explain a bit what you are doing and what you're trying to achieve also in the African market?
Yeah, so Integrated Africa Power for short, IAP, tries to, we do things in the energy sector. We play in the energy power sector and also critical minerals. And we try to develop that sector by way of consulting, carrying out studies, and also we co-develop projects on the ground. And we have a particular focus on the African continent. We do this with the principles of sustainability. We do this with the principle of cross-border cooperation, both within the continent, that's regionally, but also intercontinentally with other continents like Europe and America and Asia. And we do all of these things to make sure that we improve electricity access, improve livelihoods, and make the world a better place in general.
Okay, that is interesting. But regarding this, like, how do you see the potential of hydrogen and derivatives in the African continent? Are there some regions where you see specifically a high potential?
Yeah, of course. As you know, the African continent is very rich in renewable energy resources, solar, wind, hydro, and it's been established that these resources are quite cheap when you want to then produce green hydrogen, and by inference also all of its derivatives. And so Africa positions itself already as a very good downstream player in the hydrogen economy, and willing to really produce and use some of them locally and also export to many of our partners. So I think so there's a huge room for this, and this is also one of the things we do at IAP. We're already advising a lot of governments, in countries like Namibia, South Africa, Morocco, on positioning their strategies that are, so that it allows them to really maximize this opportunity and able to, state out what they want so that investors can be able to be aware and also approach strategically what they want. And also we advise also private sector investors and public institutions like development financial institutions as well on best approaches and opportunities that exist and the strategies to utilize these opportunities.
So then I know that it's a direct question then. So what are good strategies to get into the African market? And where should, for example, investors take a look at the moment?
Yeah, so that's a very nice question. So one thing, a model that we've chosen that works really well is the public-private partnership. So there is a very good move to think of cooperating with the government of the day, as private sector and public sector, to make sure that it's more sustainable, to make sure that the risks are low as well. So this is a really best practice. Another best practice is to take ESG and sustainability really seriously, because large-scale projects such as green hydrogen has to happen at the same time with improving energy access, water access. Do not, take lands forcefully from people, and have a lot of additions in the economy in general, and not subtract from the economy. I think these are really some of the few best practices that we put forth.
Okay, that sounds interesting. I mean, sustainability, of course, is an important topic. We often talk about green hydrogen, exporting green hydrogen outside of Africa, but making sure that green is not only the only focus we have, but also sustainability topics all around, like creating local welfare, water management, waste management, and education. So this is really important topics that you mentioned.
Yeah.
But now we talked about the benefits and the good things. Now the other side of the medal. So what do you see as the main hurdles for projects getting realized, or even financing or investments getting done in different African countries?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So one thing that comes off is many people perceive the African, continent to be very risky for such kind of high-scale investment projects. And some of these risks are sometimes inferred. Some of them are really not unreal, really not real. And some of them are, for instance, political stability to some extent, but of course, you're able to see some countries that are relatively stable. But that's not to deny that there is some risks here and there. But there are also some innovations, whether in the financial world or in governance world, that allows one to still invest in a reasonably, managed risk environment. And one of them that comes up when it comes to financing is that private sector is a bit shy to come in the beginning time. And so, of course, there is still a huge role of public sector in trying to jumpstart some of these projects. This public sector would consist of national governments. They would also consist of development financial institutions to really come in the first stage with grants and mezzanine and also concessional loans to allow the projects to take off to a level where the private sector can now come in to provide the end users and the derivatives and some of the value chains that are then towards the end.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. This was an interesting insight, and I'm looking forward to hear more from you
Thank you.
in the next years.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.